on Twitter.
Why?
Are you live yet?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, that's too bad. I was going to tell you
So
something.
now you can't tell the story?
Maybe later.
Oh, okay. Just tell it.
Let me try this.
He did a tweet. Forza Horizon 5 is great fun until you realize that you're LARPing as one of those jerks that takes SUVs four-wheeling in state beaches and wilderness areas and hold raves. and I replied, I'm going to tell you something about video games, and it's going to make you very sad. No, I didn't say that.
That's too bad.
Well, I said something close to it. I replied to him, so you're saying this title shouldn't exist to let people experience it virtually, but instead satiate this desire by doing it in real life.
Far too verbose.
Yeah, it's probably hard to understand.
Yeah.
Words.
Although
So
I
the
did
other one
find out
was,
apparently. Oh, carry on.
I did retweet him and say Skyrim was fun until I realized I was LARPing as a character that looted, killed, and destroyed endangered sentient species.
I think you went with the right one.
Yeah.
Some people play games to have fun, and then other people scrutinize them and try to create a message that allows them to virtue signal as hard as they possibly can on social media. So
Yes. Because there isn't a game about that yet.
there should be.
Yeah, there should
There
be.
really
Or you
should be.
buy it or play it.
But they'd all say they had.
No, the people who hate games so much are the ones who get all their codes for free because they're in journalism.
Well, true.
And they play it on journalism mode and still bitch about it. They
Yep,
literally
that's right.
cannot lose.
This was worth nothing.
Right.
What would
Because
you
it's
pay
not about
for
the
it?
fun of the game. There's no
Nothing.
winning condition.
Jeremy,
It's just
what was that?
binary.
Was that gift that you posted from? What was that? Father Ted.
Yes, I think it was.
Okay.
It was going
And
for a
Norash
nice
already
stinky,
with the humana 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 humana. I know that you
Yeah.
know that I know that you
but
know.
I know that you know that.
You want to.
But no, the best thing I've seen come out of Forza 5 is the
So
dumping
get
the
on over
willies.
here and start humana humana humana.
I'm sorry, Jeremy.
Eddie Murphy, classic. He would
Yeah.
so not
Oh.
be around
Eddie was great.
in this day and age.
Oh, absolutely
Nope.
not.
Nor would Richard Pryor.
No.
The only commendable thing Eddie Murphy could do in this day and age is the thing that got him in so much trouble back then.
Yeah, and he put it on Netflix not too long ago, or Prime or something.
Which one was that?
I'm talking about
back
the
to America.
personal event in his life that got him in trouble.
Oh.
That he would be lauded for now. Everything else, all of his content, his humor would be unacceptable.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on what did. Type in Discord.
Who doesn't know about Eddie Murphy and the tranny prostitutes? I mean, come on. He basically had to go
My
underground
God,
for a while.
Sebastian, you're coming out with something that Josh doesn't remember.
I don't know.
I'm impressed.
His
Guess I
name
just-
became
Oh,
Mud
yeah.
for a while, and that's the kind
Yeah,
of thing.
no,
where
he
now
was
it's like, look,
caught with a-
he's just expressing himself in the way that he chooses to. What difference does it make?
Yep.
The fact that there were rumors that he was bi, like, who gives a shit? And people certainly don't care now, but they cared then.
Yes, it was a blow.
Anyway,
As opposed to his blow habit, which wasn't. But yeah, no, Josh, have you seen the
wasn't doing
dumping
blow?
of the Willys Jeeps on Forza 5?
The what?
The
No.
Jeeps. The cheap Willys Jeeps. So apparently it's the easiest way to sort of level yourself up. They're dirt cheap, but they're capable of driving it everywhere you want to go, and you get a spin at the wheel to get your extra points or whatever. I don't know the full game. I just read the story and I was laughing. So literally there's people, because you get extra points for giving away Jeeps. Like someone was literally saying, my God, this is the 100th Jeep someone gave me for free today. Could you please stop?
Wow.
But yeah, apparently it's the easiest way to grind and then play with something interesting.
Don't care about grinding. I just want to
No,
experience things.
you're not a
Just not a
completionist.
grinder.
I'm a what?
Are you a completionist in games?
No.
Oh, that's good. It's
I
healthy.
don't think I've done 100% on anything, and I don't think I ever will.
I tried to do that with some RPGs, and it's just if you've already spent 80 hours on a game, and then you look at the people who just play them now to get like the trophies,
Yep.
and it's just I can't. do
Speed
120
run.
hours. I'm not good enough. Okay. Let's hit record.
Maybe we can talk about politics because that always unites everyone.
That's safe.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I have to cut a bunch of stuff out already anyway. Though I haven't hit record yet. Now I do.
Oh,
Now
Oh,
we
that's a good
can't say
record.
things that are not acceptable in polite company or impolite
Polite
company,
society.
as it may be.
Yeah.
Whichever.
Try
Gosh,
to-
I don't
we
know what
ever
I should
really-
do for pick of the week. What do you think?
Oh, I Humble came out with this after my post, which annoyed me because I couldn't link to it this week. But oh my god, that's a pick.
Larry.
Well, Luke, I don't often say that you're insulting clowns, but for this time, I think that is actually an insult to clowns. Yeah, Larry.
Yeah. Okay. That was my guess. I didn't even click through it.
What?
Cool.
Larry?
Well, there is only one.
Yeah. There is only one. Yeah. I knew what it was though.
Mother of pearl.
Man. Stickin82 in the Discord says, I'm one enemy type away from accomplishing all achievements in Final Fantasy 1. Final Fantasy 1, think of all the grinding just to walk across the map, just to get from
Yeah.
one town to the next. How many dozens of random encounters are you going to get through?
Well, I mean, it's taken them
Never
this long
played
to
it.
do, so it's understandable.
The original version, it's like you take 2 steps and you're in a random battle.
Yep.
And then your characters have like 10 HP and you don't have any cure magic yet, so you have to use consumables, so you're using potions. But potions are expensive and you have to buy
And you
them
don't have any money.
in a town. You don't have any money, so you have to get money by doing
You can't
random
get to town
battles.
to buy more.
Somehow get enough money and live long enough to get back to the town. But right before you get to the town, you get into one more random encounter and get wiped out.
Yep.
Because you didn't have any potions. And it's like you can't.
That was gaming back in the day.
Yes. It's been relaxed. I think the newer versions of the game, the encounter rate isn't as high. US versions, the encounter rate, I don't think was ever as high as the Japanese
No.
versions. But
And that's what used to kill me in the old Ultima series. It's like I literally just have to go do this stupid quest. Every 10 steps. Boom. Okay, here's an encounter. Hooray. 10 minutes later. Okay, back to the map. 3 more steps. Oh, here's an encounter. 7 minutes later. Okay, I'm back on that. And you know what? Screw this.
were you able to save whenever you wanted at least?
Oh, Ultima, like 3 and 4? No, I don't think you were.
Oh, okay. Because in Final Fantasy 1, you had to go to a town and pay to sleep at the inn, and that was the only way to save your game.
Yeah.
I don't think you could save it for free.
This
I think
wasn't
you
a
had
pay to
have the money
sleep, but
to
there was a
stay at the
spot
inn.
you went.
Oh, and if a character dies, you have to go to the church and have them resurrected,
Yeah.
which also costs money. And all the costs, like staying at the inn, having your characters resurrected by the priest, all of it goes up as you play. Gets more expensive. Okay. It's 6:52. All right. Let's do it. Okay.
What does auto do? Oh.
Everything good? We're ready?
Nope.
My dogs are barking because that's what they do.
Do you mean
Dogs.
your feet hurt? Or
Bark.
literally your dog?
too.
If only my feet hurt. You know, if I could get quiet in my house, I would be happy to have my feet hurt. But sadly, my dogs are actually barking. And they bark at 1 o'clock in the morning and get us up to go to the bathroom. And then again at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom because we have a 7-month-old puppy that I didn't want. But we've discussed this pretty much ad nauseum. How's my lighting? Too bright? Too bright?
Sorry.
It looks fine.
That's better.
Is
Take
it
it down a
different?
notch. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Sure.
Your Dark Lord in the chat. I am a Final Fantasy nerd. I use a tent to save. Does it save? I thought it just restored half of your MP and HP. It depends on which version of the game. Later versions tends to restore all of your MP and HP, I think. Okay. But you can save on the world map. In 3, 2. Hey everybody, welcome back to the PC Per Podcast. It's episode 652. This is being recorded on November 10, AD 2021. I'm Sebastian Peak.
Jeremy Hellstrom. And it's
I'm
C.
Josh Walrath. Sorry.
I'm still Brett Van Sprumberg today. It's okay, Josh.
That's okay. That's okay. And you can find out when we go
Lag.
live for events like this. I tweeted out 3 hours ago, in just 3 hours, we'll do something we only do every week. So tune in. And you could tune in. You could find out when we went live or we're going live. PCPer.com/subscribe. A good old-fashioned email mailing list. I mean, what more could you ask for? I don't know. How about becoming a patron of the PC Per Arts?
That would
Because-
be nice. Yes.
This is art.
Did that
It's-
guy
if-
take away his patronage after my really lame shout out?
Josh, no. No, he did not.
Oh. Oh, well,
No.
Maybe he
No,
didn't
he's,
watch or listen, but
shocking.
Well, he
Let's
could,
hope.
he could go back and rewind. It's in the
Thank
in the
you,
Patreon account.
Gil Weatherbeater,
Yes,
for staying the
Yeah,
course.
that was his name. I do have to apologize for something though. Sebastian did invite anyone to go and use the email list to sign up, but we just got someone who reminded me again that it didn't always work properly. So I have to go in and actually fix it. So if you've tried to sign up and you're unable to get onto the coveted email list, I will fix it and it will start working again soon. I apologize for
Yes.
that.
Coveted.
Coveted.
Mm.
Now it's exclusive. It's almost like we've shut off membership. I mean, that's kind of what it's working like right now. It's like, oh, anybody who's in there, that's it. It's full.
The red velvet rope
The rope is closed.
is now
Yep.
clipped across the posts, and you can't get in.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, you weren't on the list a few months ago?
Sorry.
hey,
I don't
if
know.
we're
I don't
airing
know if we've got
grievances
the
about
bits.
side issues, can I say that when I post something and then I go back to the homepage in 2 different browsers and the story isn't there, and then I have to like manually
Yeah.
refresh, and sometimes I have to clear the cache, and then it'll show up. What's up with that? What's up
Yeah.
with the homepage not refreshing on mobile sometimes when you reload it? What's up with caches on the server? That's what I want to
Well,
know.
there's lots of caching. There's
What's
a
up
lot of
with-
caching going on.
WordPress being a dick.
Yeah, what's up with
lately.
WordPress sucking? What's up with the Divi
Oh.
Builder plugin?
Yeah.
I had to stop using
Sucks.
Firefox to post things.
Really?
Yes.
I should try that. When did that happen? Just recently?
I've been fighting with it since the 12th Gen review.
I posted the second day it started happening. That nice little screenshot I sent you.
I get
Yeah, there
like
was a
try
bunch of
again.
updates
This
that
cannot
time.
be saved as it's publishing the thing that it can't save. It says anyway. Let's cut all of this. It's now time to go to Laramie, Wyoming, and hear about what Josh ate for lunch.
The weather is turning here in Laramie. It was windy, blustery, if you will. The temperatures ranged down to slightly above freezing. The combination made for a very, very crisp fall day, which is appropriate because today we had the apple of my eye burger. This is a unique one. It's a turkey patty. Ground turkey patty, topped with a butter rum glaze, cinnamon sugar apples, smoked cheddar, caramelized onions, and topped off with a sprinkling of pecans.
Gobble, gobble.
I know. So if you enjoy your Thanksgiving meal, this was essentially it. It had all the trimmings except perhaps stuffing. And that would have been over the top. But for a crisp fall day, having crisp green apples, caramelized onions, cinnamon sugar. Yeah, no, this was one to remember. I mean, it wasn't spicy, obviously, which I kind of like, but it was tasty. I finished the whole thing, and happily, excess is never enough.
It's your new tagline, your slogan.
It was MTV's.
Fries were good. And they gave me a ton of them. Like, they gave me the whole pouch full, as well as a bunch in the bag. And I couldn't eat them all. It was just too much. I had to throw away a good portion of my fries. Because they were
good-looking
really
fries.
Good. They were good. They're nicely seasoned, crisp on the outside.
Super
tender
fries.
hot on the inside. Yeah. No complaints. None.
I don't know about the sweet stuff, like cinnamon and like sweet things on turkey.
It was all nicely balanced with like the caramelized onions, and plus it was sour green apples. So it all worked nicely. I guess you got to try it to believe it.
Got an intelligent chef in the back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he is inspired at times.
Inspired even.
Let's move to news, and our top story this week happened just a few hours ago. Unsuspecting people started getting email notifications about their Steam Deck, and something bad happened. Well, not too unexpected, I guess, in current year.
Unexpected?
No,
You sure
it's a new
that's the
hardware
phrase
product.
You're looking for?
And it's delayed for 2 months.
Again.
So far, the launch of Steam Deck, I'm quoting now, will be delayed by 2 months. We're sorry about this. We did our best to work around the global supply chain issues, but due to material shortages, components aren't reaching our manufacturing facilities in time for us to meet our initial launch dates. Okay, so the new shipping start date is going to be February 2022. No specific date, of course, but originally it was going to be December of this year. And then everybody gets their position in queue still. If you've pre-ordered, I've pre-ordered. But they're at this point, it's 2 months late. I don't know what kind of quantities they're going to have. Obviously, there's a bit of a chip shortage right now.
Good bit. Yeah.
And this is using, an AMD solution. So,
When did you pre-order? I pre-ordered in July. I got my email today at about 20 after 2, and I had forgotten. It's been so long. I'd forgotten which one I'd actually ordered. I went in and checked, and I was pleasantly surprised that I'd ordered the 256 NVMe version. So it would have been the one I would have ordered today.
that's the second one up, right?
It is the second one. Yeah.
That's the one I ordered. I ordered as soon as I could. I was, along with everybody else, failing miserably when pre-orders first went live because their system could not keep up. When I finally got through and ordered it, I thought I was still in the December batch, but it took me like 15 minutes to actually pre-order the thing. Anyway, obviously this doesn't sound like it's too surprising to anybody, and let's hope it's only 2 months. But forget about it if this is what you're looking forward to as your like Christmas present to yourself or someone else. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think my order finally went in, and I think my delivery was after December anyway, so I really kind of didn't expect it any time all that soon. Weirdly enough, I also ordered a car in August, and it won't be here. I will see which one gets here first, whether the new car or the Steam Deck.
All the chips are still in production right now as we speak, so who knows?
Yes.
So it's
And
all
not
about
necessarily
yields.
by the company you'd expect them to be fabbed by.
What
Just
if
leading to some
Intel-
problems.
Never mind. That can never happen. All right. What is this thing that looks like... Brett, what does this look like to you? For video viewers.
It's an office tower.
Okay, to me, I'm having horrible flashbacks to a G5 processor
Oh my
with the
gosh.
giant
right.
integrated heatsink
Yeah.
inside of a Power
Looks
Mac
like a
G5.
really expensive paperweight.
Well, it's an AMD Instinct.
You're all right.
Yes, well, no. There was a big data center event that AMD had in the last couple of days, and they have. I sort of understand some of this stuff. Obviously, Jeremy, you wrote a nice synopsis of all of it here. But please go
Very
through
quick
some of the
one.
highlights of what they had to show. I saw some very impressive slides about, AMD versus what Ampere offers in the data center. But what is it besides the Instinct? I know about the MI200.
Well,
What
that's
do
a family.
you really know about it?
Yes.
Very little. I know what's
Okay,
written.
You
other
just got
than
an
it's
Instinct?
CDNA2 architecture, which I think is essentially RDNA3. Am I correct in that, Jeremy?
5 nanometer.
Yeah, it's a
What with
no,
HBM?
it's a 6 nanometer part.
Oh no, sorry, that's
graphics.
right. Genoa's the
Yeah,
or Genoa.
yeah. All the Zen 4 stuff is 5 nanometer. But no, the Instinct is it's two stinking graphics chips, CDNA, that each is attached to HBM2E memory. They have really interesting technology in there, not just interposer, but stuff that Intel had developed, but TSMC and AMD had kind of co-developed. So substrate interconnects is now, and I say that with tongue in cheek because it's not really the substrate. It's more silicon that's underneath that's embedded in the actual substrate. They're really getting things going, and so the teraflops that's coming off of this Instinct MI200 is essentially double of what the NVIDIA A100 has, and they're expecting it to be commercially available in early 2022. And in fact, Oak Ridge Laboratories is currently being built with not only these, but also, I believe it was the Genoa Zen 4 Epic chips. Which, wait, is it the Zen 4 or is it the Zen 3 plus 3D Vcache? No, I think it's the Vcache. Sorry.
Zen 4
Yeah.
cores.
Yeah, no,
We'll
it's
see.
they're using the Vcache Epics, which are they're being produced mass quantities now. They'll be available to the general public again in 2022, and we can kind of see that desktop parts with the 3D Vcache and Zen 3 will be available in early 2022. So AMD has a lot going on for it, and this server kind of platform show was really a precursor to what we're going to experience on the desktop. So we're going to have 6 nanometer RDNA 3 parts. We're going to have third gen, Zen with 3D Vcache, which should, in theory, allow it to compete more adequately with the recently released Intel Alder Lake parts. So AMD went up like 10%. They went over $150 per share, which you think 5 or 6 years ago they were sitting below $3. I think $258 was kind of what it was pre-Zen launch. I mean, it was $2.58 going up to $153. That's some 59 time improvement. So if you put $1,000 down, you'd get nearly $60,000 back from your investment from 5 years ago. I'm kicking myself still, but I was poor back then, didn't have spare cash, couldn't invest in AMD. What can you do? So interposer stuff. interconnects, big deal. The 3D V-Cache with TSV through Silicon Vias. How TSMC and them are managing that without breaking dies is simply amazing. And it's not even solder micro bumps. It's copper to copper connections. And I have no idea how they're doing that in terms of engineering. It just is, it's PFM, pure freaking magic. And they're doing it, and they are releasing it in mass quantities here in early 2022. And we will likely see it on the desktop around then. And again, 6 nanometer RDNA 3 is probably coming up, but they call it 6 nanometer CDNA 2. I could be wrong here, but that seems to be where we're going. Will we see a resurgence of HBM memory with these latest AMD cards, or will they, kind of make sure things are not as expensive and go back to, just GDDR6 or GDDR6X? We don't know. But, in terms of enterprise stuff, this is a massive deal. And they are encroaching heavily on Intel territory, and their performance is better across the board. And they're pushing against NVIDIA. And now they have their own kind of programming thing like CUDA, except I think it's called ROCm, right? ROC with a little M. It's kind of their CUDA software.
Rockin' Sock'em Robots.
Exactly. And so they're not only providing the hardware, but they're starting to get with it in terms of software, which is something that they have been far behind with NVIDIA, especially in terms of how well CUDA has been accepted, how many people actually use CUDA. Hell, the place that I work out, we're a total CUDA shop. They've got a lot of mind share to chip away, but they're actually doing it now. So these were all really, really, really positive things from AMD. They're showing they're moving forward. They've got an aggressive roadmap. They've got stuff coming out, not only now, but again, they were hinting at Zen 4 in fall of 2022. So we have all these fun things to look forward to. 5 nanometer Zen 4 cores coming out, and we'll see what they do with Vcache then with 5 nanometer. It's going to be interesting.
Back to Instinct.
I was going to say the Instinct, the power consumption does kind of scare me.
Yeah.
There is a reason that it looks that big, because they're talking 500 watts.
560, I believe.
Yeah.
And here is, we haven't really talked about this. This is the first multi-die GPU. If you look at it, topologically, this thing is, first of all, it's absolutely gargantuan, the overall size of this thing. It looks like two of the Radeon 7s next to each other on one even larger
interposer.
Yeah. And you've got multiple GPUs tied together with state-of-the-art fabric. And then you have a bunch of HBM2E. I believe it's 2E. So it's
something like 128 gigs per.
Yes.
So each of those is 38 gigabytes, and there's 8 of them. And the amount of bandwidth you get out of 8 channels of that. Although
2 terabyte?
I'm guessing, wouldn't there be some kind of a penalty between these? Isn't this like first gen Ryzen again, or is this something?
No,
I mean,
the Infinity Fabric interconnect is going to be slower than the memory controllers.
Yeah.
But again, looking back, when they purchased SeaMicro back in the day, and people thought that was kind of crazy, they have based all of their interconnect technology on that initial older product, which for the time was pretty good. I mean, modern times now, it's considered pretty slow, but they've iterated and they've advanced it, and they've taken that basis, and Infinity Fabric is, again, it's magic.
I just wonder, will this trickle down to desktop? Do you think
What's
that
that?
they'll do multi GPU on desktop eventually?
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like they're not going to do HBM on desktop anymore because it's like Intel getting out of the consumer space with Optane. It's still there for enterprise, but
I don't know. HBM 2E is less expensive than
Yeah.
HBM 2,
HBM3
and
is a thing now.
Yeah, but it's also going to be priced
It's neat.
a little bit better than the originals were.
yeah.
I think
So I think
there's
a
nothing wrong with
chance at the
HBM.
higher end. Go ahead, Jeremy.
no, because I was going to say that there's nothing wrong with HBM. It's just that AMD, as they're wont to do, adopted it a little bit early. Yes, it did add some interesting things, but from the software side, there was nothing to take advantage of it, and from the price side, there was a steep, bill to pay to grab something with HBM in it. I still think that HBM is going to be a product going forward, and obviously, HBM3 just dropped not too long ago, like hours, days. So I think we're still going to see products coming with that. I think it was just more that AMD went a little bit too early into that. I don't see it going away. It's too neat of a product, and I think it's going to mature impressively, especially once the fab costs start coming down. But Josh also had something to say.
Well, I think with HBM, AMD was kind of the right company at the right time, even though they didn't overturn the world with what they had. It did prove that this was a technology that was worth advancing and going forward with and actually integrating, because NVIDIA uses HBM stuff for all of their higher end things. And maybe with HBM 2E, it's going to be at a price point that is much more suitable for desktop. Also, the things that they're doing with interposer technology, some of these advanced things that they're using, where on the Intel side they've got the Ponte which has all these kind of interesting connectivity technologies that are sort of substrate, but at the same time sort of small pieces of silicon and bonding and all of this. I mean, these are all things that they could do much cheaper than having a massive interposer piece of silicon, which, even though it's based on a much larger lithography in micron size, is still expensive to produce just because of raw materials and times. And if they can, kind of get that smaller and embed that in substrate versus just having one large interposer, I mean, you're looking at, again, pretty decreased amounts of money that you have to do to get the entire package, and potentially other things with manufacturing to make sure that, hey, you bond everything to an interposer and nothing works, you throw out the whole damn thing. And so all of this is kind of part of what AMD and TSMC are working on. Intel's working on it dramatically. It's going to be fun to see this next year what actually makes it into desktop and what stays in the server, and really who kind of blinks first when it comes to, hey, we need more memory bandwidth. And HBM 2E is much more efficient still than GDDR6 or 6X. It's going to be interesting to see. And I mean, with as much wattage as GPUs take, if you can save 5 to 10 watts on just memory,
Then do it.
it might be worth it.
I'm also curious to see how the memory pool is going to work. Because essentially you do sort of have Infinity Fabric talking to Infinity Fabric. And so I'm curious to see how well that's going to be executed in the real world, if this is actually going to be a proper pool of memory that everything just shares happily and perfectly, albeit, as Josh said, at a bit slower bandwidth than some of the alternatives. But the fact that it's a complete ecosystem all communicating the same way, are we actually going to see a big benefit out of that or not? And I don't know the answer yet. I'm kind of curious.
Any more thoughts?
Yeah, it's a real estate savings to go with something like HBM3, because they are using what Josh talked about before, TSVs through silicon vias and microbumps, and they get the tremendous bandwidth and the density through that stacking technology as well as the ability to get
HBM
the
or
bandwidth.
3D V-cache?
HBM3 is 3D DRAM. So I mean they are stacking.
Well,
that.
HBM2E is 3D DRAM
Oh,
because
okay.
there's stacks of 8
Yeah.
in HBM2E, and that's what makes it 64 gigs per stinking GPU, and then 2 of the GPUs to give it 128 gigs of stinking high-speed memory. That I mean the
rest of it's
I'm
so
amazed
large.
with the 3D V-cache that they can do that with each chiplet and be able to get down in price so that you can actually do that to the desktop. I mean, it's still going to be a $300 to $800 part, I think, the way that AMD is going. But just that amount of L3 cache is tremendous, and it's we don't know all the details of how it works, if it's like 2 banks of L3 or if the CPU somehow sees it as one L3, but the latency not hit is like in picoseconds. It's nothing.
By the way, for
I gotta let my
PC
dog
per
out because she's whining it. Never mind, my wife has
true.
got it.
for PC per
Oh.
podcast bingo players, add 3D Vcache. Every time Josh says 3D Vcache, you can.
Cache.
I don't know if you.
I do feel that we missed out on one thing, though.
What?
We forgot to mention it's 128 cores in the Bergamo, which
Yeah.
is totally not named after an orange. And
I thought it was,
I'm not
I thought
going
it
to
was
spell
up to
wrong.
128, and they were initially
Well,
at
sorry,
96.
yes, 128 is the top.
Is that
No,
128
Genoa.
CUs?
Genoa is 96.
Oh, Genoa was 96.
No,
okay.
of course, actual
Of course.
physical.
Oh, that's
Literal
right. We're talking about
cores.
the okay. I'm
Yeah,
That's on
the
the
server
CPU side.
CPUs, the
No,
next
I-
gen stuff.
14,080
gonna have,
ALUs.
That's nuts. But Bergamo's going to have PCIe Gen 5,
Yes.
which is going to be nice for them. And, and a later iteration of Infinity Fabric, I believe. And yeah, they're pushing forward hard across multiple technologies. And it's all kind of coming together at once. 2022 is going to be a very fun year, I think, for AMD, and to see how Intel plays against that, because they're also moving forward at a tremendous rate under Pat. Pat has cut a lot of fat. He's pushed a lot of money into other things. Their quarterly financials are not as strong as they were, but they're kind of putting a lot of that money into actual work rather than just having a big old treasure chest of funds. So it's gonna be fun.
well. If we don't see an advance past, and I'm looking at some YouTube comments, if we don't see an advance past GDDR6 for graphics next year, and if all these rumors about basically throwing power at the problem are true, where AMD and NVIDIA are both going to have like mammoth 450 plus watt graphics cards, because there's been no
Well, that may be coming down
whispers
the
of GDDR7
way anyway.
Yes. No, because I mean, look at it. The Instinct, which is 560 watts a piece, is designed to be deployed 8 by in a server. They're thinking of fitting 8 in there. You ain't air cooling that.
No, but
That's
there are unique ways to, get the heat out of.
Yes,
Isn't
there are.
Meta going to be one of their customers of these new?
yes. Well, apparently that's how they're launching it. Although today Jensen was saying that NVIDIA is the heart behind Meta. I'm not quite sure what they're going to be doing.
NVIDIA's Metaverse or like Facebook Meta.
Oh, right.
I don't
Track
know.
your Metas.
Metaverse is being
Keep
thrown
track of
around
your
so
Metas,
much right
man.
now. It's just
Yeah.
a big.
No, it's actually really annoying, and that was sort of my
too
point,
meta.
was that you can't tell the difference.
okay.
But it's just too meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Something that both AMD and NVIDIA are doing, if we've looked, 10 years ago, we could have done a kind of a simple things that, CPUs are small amount of logic and a huge amount of cache. And GPUs at the time were a huge amount of logic and small amount of cache. Well, we're getting to the point where these GPUs are just so hungry, and even the latest cutting edge memory technologies can't keep up, and so they also are increasingly larger in terms of cache, and we're going to see this explosion as well in the GPUs because you just can't feed enough data through memory buses, physical memory buses through substrate. I mean, interposers and HBM helps a lot, but still there's nothing better than, you know, L1, L2, L3 caches that are on the chip that you can access very, very quickly.
That's exactly what Apple just did. They brought it all on the SoC.
Brother. Here we go.
Hey,
I thought you were going to
You know
say,
what?
and that's what AMD did such great effect with the RX 6000 series. They
That's
made
not at all what I
effective use
said.
of cache because of a lack of memory bandwidth.
that's not what I said at all. No,
That's
you
what
got
we're
that
going to.
I want
That's what we're
my-
going. Okay, let's
I
pause.
want my L3 cache.
Let's pause here
That's
to have a word from our first podcast sponsor.
wrong. That'd be Comet Backup, business backup and recovery.
We're back,
Ki-
beating dead horses.
no, we're not. Stop.
What?
Hammer time.
Stop.
In the
Can
name of love.
Do you see the problem?
I see the problem.
Josh,
All right,
got a
let's
problem.
pause.
All right, let's pause.
Let's really
again.
pause.
Good night. Ring a ding 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 ding.
Good night.
Yeah, there's a dead tomato plant in here I got to get rid of. I'll be right back.
Is that code?
It's just
What does
sad.
that have to do with your cup not running over?
I don't know. It's just he's got a weird connection between those two things. Oh no, he's serious. He's actually getting rid of. a
Oh
dead
wow,
tomato.
that's a very dead plant.
Did it make a kind of a sound when he picked it up?
Oh, it surely
It
did.
rustled.
That's
Yeah.
how we know it's dead.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't make that dry rustle sound.
Don't make a Caesar out of that, for God's sakes.
So we're waiting on Josh.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal.
When Josh comes
Come
back, do you
on.
think he'll talk
Not
about
Satan.
AMD 3D Vcache some more?
I don't.
Well,
know.
I think we've
people
almost covered it.
Oh, okay.
filled in that card already.
It's like, you know, it's
For those who
exciting.
don't remember, there was at one time a PC per bingo card for the live.
There still
shows.
is. I think Jordan
Well, I mean,
authored the most
yeah.
recent iteration of it last year.
Well, did it just come out? I think I missed
No,
it.
you have to scroll through about a year's worth of Discord.
No, Jordan came out a long
Okay,
time
well,
ago.
all right. Yeah, I remember that one.
Just, Google. Search
I'm
for
pretty sure
bingo in
one of them was Brett mentions Apple. So there's
Yeah.
a square right there.
Mhm. It was a square.
Well, yeah. Something about that story you go to, too.
Hey, Jock in the YouTube chat at PCPer. Any thoughts on AMD 3D VCAP?
Well, Josh would be happy to fill you in on that.
I just love the fact that we could hear that plant rustle as you walked away.
know.
That was a very
Yes,
dead
it
plant.
sound healthy.
It was past its time. It provided fruit to our
Yes.
diet, and
But it's doing a lousy
And-
job as a carbon sink.
yeah, I don't know if it just got too cold, not enough sunlight. We took care of it. We watered it. We loved it. But all things must end,
Yes.
including this podcast. So
edited
good night from
And
episode
called it
500.
George.
Hey, we still have to get through at least one more sponsor tonight, Josh, so we can't end it yet.
Okay.
All right. We're back to talk about why on earth Intel wanted Centaur. Jeremy, was it
They
for
wanted to crossbreed it.
hybridization? Okay. They have Ponte Vecchio. What do they need?
Well, that's exactly what they want it for. At least I think, like, for future generations of Ponte Vecchio, because their sort of idea is that just like how the Centaur was born, you just throw a bunch of things together into a room and see how it runs. But in this case, Intel is saying that with Ponte Vecchio, and like we've sort of seen this with their wonderfully named graphics card, that they're really, really happy of putting in the effort to make a single core to rule them, a single chip to rule them from themselves, and then take whoever's going to offer them cores to toss in for other things. So what they've got from VIA, which we haven't heard of in a long time, is either IP from Centaur, maybe employees from Centaur. Like, VIA is very quiet when it comes to news releases, and this is no different. The Centaur Technology website has sort of disappeared, and it's under construction, but we don't know if this is VIA losing the x86 license, or are they keeping some of it. All we really know is that some of the employees that worked for the R&D branch of VIA, Centaur Technology, are now going to move over to Intel. And the thing that they were working on for the last couple of years is a really, really low power HPC core design. Intel obviously is kind of interested in challenging the NVIDIA especially, but AMD, as we were just talking about, that HPC market is going to be very big, and the people who can do the most with the least power are probably going to make a decent amount of money off of it. So now you're looking at a nice new pool of talent and possibly intellectual property to draw from when they're looking at the nice melange of cores that they have. Ponte Vecchio, Alder Lake, like, obviously they know how to pull this off. They know how to do the immense cores that, or immense chip design that AMD used to be the only ones to do. So there's not enough info to really tell anyone what's really going on, other than, I think this is Intel looking at, one, no one else can have them. We don't want the competition. We need them. And two, they may well have some really decent deep learning technology at a relatively low power that Intel is going to be really interested in rolling into later on designs of Ponte Vecchio-like chips.
So here's
Josh is going to tell me I'm all wrong.
About, no, absolutely. You're fine. But I think that what we're kind of missing is that Centaur is a fraction of the size and with the money available to design stuff that Intel does. And they were essentially designing parts that were low power, Haswell type performance, that are available now, and they developed these parts at an absolute fraction of the cost of what Intel did with their thousands of engineers and cutting edge fab technology. And so the brain power and their design methodology at Centaur is really interesting. They do so much with so little, it's not even funny. It's amazing what they have accomplished with the R&D that they were actually given. And so, it would make sense for Intel to, maybe just keep them as a group, see how they're doing what they're doing, and, be able to make some money off of it. And at least, in terms of the Centaur guys, they can actually have products that people could buy, as compared to when they worked with VIA, which, they were very limited in where their products were actually even for sale. So it's kind of, it's a win-win for both of those groups. And it's going to be interesting to see if Intel changes anything internally with how they design things after seeing how this small, underfunded group is able to really essentially compete with the big guys, AMD and Intel, at just a fraction of the price. Silence is golden, apparently.
That's the final word on that.
But about that Vcache.
No.
Just kidding.
They did develop a sweet 3D VCAT. Never mind.
No.
Okay, I saw this on Phoronix earlier. I'd heard about this. You know about AVX512 and how it was removed from Alder Lake. And certain people on Twitter were very adamant about the fact that it was fused off. It's gone. Then it turns out, no, it's actually there. And it is possible to make use of some of it Here we have an article in Phoronix about Alder Lake AVX 512 in Linux. The P cores do have AVX 512. It's not fused off. You can make use of it. And here's some, screenshots of things that make sense to some people, but it depends on the BIOS version as well, and it may actually, also depend on how early the silicon is that you have, if this is later actually going to be fused off or what. But it's interesting. It's just, I don't think it's surprising. It's there. It was in the design. The core design has support for it, obviously. But for all those, cases where you need AVX 512 instructions.
Yeah, when do you need that again?
When you want to heat your home. Look, it's almost winter.
Oh, okay. So you're just running test bench.
No, I got to tell you, this new Ryzen is really annoying me.
Well,
The
one did you get?
5800X does not put
Yeah, you have
off
a 1500.
anywhere near as much heat as the Threadripper did. It's cold
Wait a
in this
minute.
room. That's why I'm always
Wait a
wearing
minute.
this again.
I heard the 5800X was a hot box. We just talked about this last
its
week.
internal temperature gets up into the high 80s, but it
Yeah,
doesn't put out
but-
that much. I mean, it's 105
No.
watt CPU.
Not like my Threadripper. That kept me in a t-shirt in this room with absolutely no heating and a window open.
Man, when we were doing a lot of folding at the beginning of 2020, whenever I was really, really big into that, I had multiple systems all over the house going, including a couple Threadripper machines. It's amazing. That thing was pulling 400 watts all the time, and it was getting uncomfortably hot in the room without running the heat. So I believe it. I'm glad those days are gone. Cisco. 10 out of 10. This is a week old, but we missed it last week because we had the podcast a week before. Better transition. Cisco, 10 out of 10 in vulnerabilities. It's their own rating. It's a 10 out of 10.
Not
vulnerability.
in vulnerabilities. You mean vulnerabilities?
Well, I mean, it's a vulnerability that allows a command injection attack without authentication.
Oh, well, that's
And
bad.
it has the best PR excuse ever.
Which is,
Uh-huh.
The actual quote from Cisco was, it was an unintentional debugging credential. This is literally what the announcement says.
Huh.
Oh, I broke my audio again.
Yeah, okay. And?
Yeah. So essentially they're saying, we left a root user sort of in the hardware. And I mean, the good news is that you can actually update it out. It's not hardwired in, but it's there. And so, if you're a network guy that doesn't, for some reason, like going in to physically repair their switches 100% of the time and has maybe set up a virtual access portal to it, you're vulnerable. It's straight out. They've got root. Congratulations. Hope you backed up and didn't have anything going over the network that was, really important.
And
This-
you know what? There's so many organizations that have non-important things flowing over their network, right?
Yeah. And they also keep up to date on their hardware and their software patches.
You know what? Patching, especially network gear, implies the network needs to be quiet for a little while. And who wants to take the network down? That's there's no better way to have a family meeting. This is just a corollary. There's no better way to have a family meeting than to go in and unplug the Wi-Fi router. You'll have everybody in the house in the same room inside of 60 seconds. Imagine doing it at the company.
I don't have to imagine.
yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to take the
Yeah.
network down for patching, unless you can fail over
But-
to. Anyway.
Yeah. And the best thing is that there is actually more than that. That was just sort of the opening salvo.
Oh, okay.
From there, you've got, as you said, there's a command injection attack without authentication, and there were two more that weren't quite, a 10 out of 10. They were more like a 8.5 or 9 out of 10, where the SSH authentication mechanism was just like kind of yeah, whatever. Here, have root. It's okay. No one will mind. So yeah, if you're running Cisco, and you may well be, yeah, you might want to either patch or go Huawei. Hey, the backbone still runs on it. It's not like we have a choice.
Let's break to hear from our second podcast sponsor this week.
That would be VPLS, purveyor of fine IT services for your organization. Good on them.
We're back, and we're going to lighten things up a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit a brighter subject, something with a little more color, like addressable RGB. And would you know
Thank goodness.
that Be Quiet, of all companies, Be Quiet. Now, they had RGB effects added to some of their cases in the last couple of years. So this isn't a complete shock. But a RGB ring on both
know,
sides of these
Sebastian.
fans.
I would say Be Quiet. I would label them as somewhat stoic as a
Yeah,
company.
they've always had that kind of reputation, but now they've
Well, they're
seen the light,
German-ish.
the ARGB light. So we have 120 and 140 millimeter fans now with a quote, one LED ring at the fan's inlet and another narrow LED ring at the outlet. So it's very subtle. It reminds me of the fans that are in those like that Falcon Northwest system that I looked at, because they
yeah.
just a single ring. It's not like the fan blades themselves are lit up, so it's a bit more subtle than some. Obviously, there are other companies out there that have a ring design, but it's a Be Quiet fan, so it's going to be really quiet. These are PWM fans. The prices range from $26.90. There's a high-speed version as well that's going to be $29.90.
I guess
I'm
that's
sorry,
for
26
AIOs.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 140. So it looks like it ranges from $26.90 all the way up to $29.90. But then you can get triple packs, which range from $79.90 to $84.90. So it depends on what you want. They have a high-speed version and a standard speed version. I am assuming the high-speed version is for radiators.
Do they come
I
in
would
brown?
think so, yeah.
They come in brown. No, it looks like they don't come in brown.
Do they come in brown? That sounds like the opposite question. You
I'm
stop.
not seeing. I don't know if they have white. Some of their fans are offered in white. It looks like these are just black, but it's RGB.
That's surprising because Be Quiet has a fair number of cases that come in a very nice white.
Well, maybe that's the future.
Yeah.
I know white is sometimes problematic in manufacturing, but
It is, and it's tricky because, and what you're implying is that the white that goes on metal is often different to the white that goes on pieces of plastic or the different kinds
as
of
any
plastic.
Apple
They don't quite
fan would know, white is hard. That's why it took them so long to come out with a white iPhone 3G. Steve said it. White is hard, guys. Matching the white from the glass to the white plastic, not easy.
That's why everything's aluminium now.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Chamfered edges and everything.
let's look at something really stylish. Marvel over. I know that home theater PCs aren't quite as much of a thing, even for enthusiasts, as they used to be, because we have streaming boxes to do everything. But look at this thing. It looks like a piece of mid-century modern furniture. It's the
Love it.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever pronounced this out loud. Raygen Tech?
I'm pretty sure it's Raging. Yeah.
Ryan Tech?
No, No, that's a different company.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
they're Raging. I think
Raygen
they're Raging
Pan
Tech.
Slim. The Raygen Tech Pan Slim. There is a photo gallery of some beautiful photography at Tweaktown here. You need to go look at. If you're not watching the video version, look at this thing. It is wide. It has a very, it's not thin mini ITX. You can put a regular ITX board in here. It has full-size DIMMs in the picture. There's no less than an RTX 3090 Founders Edition in this thing. In your home theater
And a-
PC.
And a 240 AIO, I think. Or
But
maybe
only
bigger,
a
might be
little, it looks
280.
like an
Yeah.
SFX power supply.
You don't need
Old.
to, but you can.
That poor power supply having to, I don't know what kind of processor they're using.
That's a bold move. Let's see how that works out.
Cotton.
Well, it all appears to be running in these photos. But this is a delightful.
Isn't it sexy?
Yeah, that is. I'm
is.
telling
I
you,
like it.
if you are just listening to the audio version, I mean, because that's what you do with an audio version. Just think of mid-century modern furniture. It's got those like classic.
Yeah, I was going to
angled-
say 1950s, living room
Yeah.
table.
Or the legs underneath the 50s black and white TV.
Yeah, it looks
You know,
like
very
a like
similar
an
to
old stereo console from that
Yes.
era.
Or the
Hence-
short
yes.
TV tray,
Mid-century.
or just about everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Oh,
great.
it comes white as well. Very, very.
I don't know if I like the white
neat
as
with
much.
the white and
A
brushed
couple of people
aluminum.
were panning it that it wasn't slim enough. They like I looked at that and I thought it was about the same size as like a Nuck or something. I'm like, no, there's a 3090 in there. It's not
So-
the same size as
So
a
what
Nuck.
what you're saying is the fact that they labeled it the Pan Slim. They didn't think it deserved the name Slim.
Well,
is that
it is slim from one angle.
It's wide and it's not particularly tall. But if it's component width, then that's the right width for living room. Components
what
are
is-
what, like 17 inches wide, something like that.
Yeah.
What is the here? Pause at one of the like the architectural diagrams, the one of the black
okay.
and whites there, right there.
Where?
There was
What?
one of them that the one in the upper left corner. I was just wondering how wide is this thing? What is? The
It looks
dimension
wider
of
than
this?
17 inches.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, okay.
Is
that's
it
19th
bigger than a
motherboard.
bread box?
It's definitely bigger than a baby's arm. Yes.
I
It's about
probably
the same
shouldn't have-
size as a very oddly designed bread box. Like you could fit a couple of French loaves in it,
Yeah.
but not like Texas toast.
I probably should have looked at the specs. Features.
gotta be in
where are
here
the
somewhere.
specs? Endless scrolling. Apologies
this-
to the video audience. Where are the specs? There's the specs of their build.
Scroll up.
Okay.
Scroll up.
I'll
scroll
get
up
to
a
the
little
bottom
bit.
of this. I won't scroll
Oh,
on the
and
camera anymore.
It does.
Hold on.
That was a 240 AIO. They did.
Introduction,
Yes, it was.
parts used. Where? I don't see any.
Yeah, they
There's a
probably
tiny
didn't. This
review.
is a problem I have with a lot of review sites lately. Is okay, I'm going to grab the specs because people ask, how big is this thing? What can it hold? How big is the CPU tower? And people don't list specs automatically anymore.
Yeah, we hear about it instantly if we don't. Not only do you have to have the specs, you
No, what
better
we can hear
specify
about
which
is-
is width versus depth.
Yes.
Damn it.
That's another one.
Exactly.
Yeah. In the order in which you actually specified the dimensions.
And I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but it's like, yeah, well, you're lucky we even list them right now. A lot of sites do not.
You
So
are
the
that
source.
guy.
Here's the Pan Slim. Here's the website. Let's go to specifications. They have a tab for that.
Oh, great.
Okay.
There
it
it
is 629 millimeters wide. What is 63 centimeters
That's-
in inches? Seems very wide.
27
No,
inches.
not really.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Didn't they have like a 24-inch monitor sitting on top of it, and the thing?
What if it was a 34?
What if? How much is
Did you
it?
say it was
Come on, you figured it out.
629
It's about 2 feet.
millimeters? Yes.
It's about
Yeah, it
2
is.
feet.
According to Google, that is 24.76 inches
Yeah.
wide.
What did I
like
just
crap
say?
math.
What
Josh,
did I
you are
just-
absolutely right.
Gosh.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, let's move on very quickly.
Skin of my
Mills
teeth.
is about
There is a
About a foot.
product that was
Wow.
puzzling to me when I heard about it. It was just amusing to receive it. Lexar, fine purveyor of SD cards, compact flash cards back in the day, things like that. I have a Lexar compact flash card actually.
They're
They-
good. They were good.
Is the flash on this removable?
I
Like,
don't
can you actually
know.
pull it out and put it in something else, and it stores the data?
So they got into gaming memory. I don't know why, but I guess maybe the margins are good on this kind of
It's a
stuff.
growth industry.
Yeah. Hades. Now you have to have an aggressive name, first of all. If you're going to get into it, it's got to be aggressive, even a little threatening. Hades.
Like shark tooth or something. Yeah.
The Hades RGB. So what is Hades? Other than, RGB gaming memory from an unlikely source. Well, I cover things like the fact that in Greek mythology, Hades was god of the underworld. So that makes sense. I was reviewing it over Halloween, so that made sense. And it's just kind of basic DDR4 3600 RAM. It's not even low latency or anything. It's CAS 18. Timings are a little on the loose side. Ran Typhoon Burner like everybody else to see who made these ICs. And it just says Lexar Company Limited. So either they're blocking it or it really is their own ICs. And anyway, there's an XMP profile. This is nominally 3200 RAM. It's 3200 DDR4. But it has an XMP profile for the 3600 at 18, 22, 22, 42, 64 at 1.35 volts. They have, of course, support for all the RGB standards for the lighting. They have their own software, which I have a screenshot of here. Unfortunately, the software did not work for me. Now, granted, it's a version 1.00.01 of the software, the Lexar RGB Sync software for Windows. But no matter what I did, how many times I uninstalled, reinstalled, rebooted, it would not do anything. I could change the colors, hit apply, nothing happened. So I'm thinking there was some kind of motherboard software conflict there because everything wants to control the RGB in every system. But did some quick testing. Look, the only thing that was interesting to me was, hey, you know, since I have this, it's CAS 18. I've not had 3600 CAS 18 before. Because everything I have is CAS 16 except for these CAS 14 DIMMs from G.Skill, the Trident Z Neo. So I compared the two. And if you just run synthetic benchmarks like Ada64, you will find that you will get slightly higher numbers in a chart like this if you go to lower latency RAM. But what about 7-zip? And look at this. Or, you know, if we're the audio version, 90,856 million instructions per second with the CAS 14. Only 77,579 with the CAS 18. It's like 230,000 more.
Your math is bad.
My math is very bad.
More.
These are millions. These are millions.
It seems significant. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Millions instructions per second. They're MIPS. It's this in MIPS.
13,000 MIPS difference.
Which are million instructions
But still,
per second.
it's a lot. I mean, you're looking at a 20% decrease in performance just from memory. So
just from memory latency.
Yeah.
Even though the clock number is the same, 3,600, you know, for each of them.
But the latency means it misses the boat occasionally.
Here's where they really missed the boat. Pricing. This is, when I first started the write-up, it was $146.99. By the time I actually published, I checked again, it had dropped to $139.99. DDR4 is, of course, falling off a cliff. The pricing keeps on going down, down, down. They're just entering this market for the first time, and they are priced significantly higher than their competition. Because if you look up CAS 18 stuff, which is the budget value stuff, it's $99.
It's everything right now.
And this is a 32 gigabyte kit. So you can buy 32 gigabyte kits for $100.
99 for 32
Yes.
$99 for a 32 kit?
Uh-huh.
Oh, interesting.
Every day.
Oh.
And if you want RGB, the prices kind of fluctuate a little bit as to who has the cheapest RGB kit that week, but as of the 8th, it was $113.99. It was a PNY kit, I believe. So this is Lexar coming in with memory that has like mystery ICs and fairly loose timings. It has $139. You can buy CAS 16 kits with RGB for $139. So you would just never choose this RAM unless it was like a great value. Because it's not like Lexar has this long track record for being like great gaming memory that overclocks well. Any of the other reviews I looked at of this, they were very dubious about its overclocking capabilities. I didn't even try. It's just, I wanted to make sure it ran at XMP equivalent speed on a Ryzen platform board, which it did. But it just seems like it's priced in an unrealistic way.
Yeah. No, because
it's
I just
first product.
Sorry, Josh, what?
They're going to do that because I've seen other groups that they enter a market and their stuff is high priced because they don't have a huge amount of stock, and typically they do sell it, but it just when you get to the bean counters and low amounts of product actually being shipped, and you're entering a market, you either make no money or you take a loss. And I think in this case they're doing make no money just to get a foot in.
I would
I
hope
was
they
going to
could
say
make
that
money.
Brett over at FPS Review just did some Crucial stuff that was 16, and the 16 gigabyte kit is like $80.
For
So, yeah,
16
16
gigs?
Are you saying it's also Lexar? Is that what you said?
No, it's Crucial, but it's
Crucial.
CAS 16.
Yeah.
And 16 gigs, just over $80. I think the 32 gig kit was 140 something. So yeah, it's a hard sell.
What? But you really look at it compared to DDR5, because we're talking about 18 versus 16. Forget about that. Let's go up to 38. 44? Anyone? Higher?
44.
Yeah, I've seen some CAS
I can see
44
for
stuff.
DDR5.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah,
Yeah, it
for
gets
the
pretty.
higher frequency.
But I'm more bandwidth.
I just
anyway.
posted a news article on some new Patriot RAM that's coming out, 4800 megahertz and 40s straight across for timing.
You know you're
that's
going to get
releasing
flamed for
this
saying
month.
megahertz, Brett. I hope you know that.
I am. Yeah,
It's mega transfers per second,
you're right.
as I've been.
Not gigahertz.
It's not. It is definitely. Oh, somebody already did it.
No, I mean, it's 2400 megahertz operating frequency
is.
DDR4 or DDR5.
Thank you, Jacques.
This is DDR5. This is.
But it's
to be
DDR, so
released
it's
this
double data
month.
rate, so you double it, and that's the effective
Mega
speed.
transfers. Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to picks of the week. Josh, start us
Is it
off.
that time?
It is.
Oh god.
Okay, so this is a newer product from the P3 people. It's the P3P 4460 kilowatt EZ. If you really want to know how much power your machine pulls or other appliances or things, these kilowatts they're so good. They're great. They'll tell you the wattage. Apparently this one kind of even tells you how much money, potentially. I don't know. Unless they're lying on the picture. Go back
do
one
that
more
money or
picture
Bitcoin?
on that. Yeah, that's a good question. No.
Hey,
It had a list of all the things on it. One more up. There you go. Power factor lapse, high frequency kilowatt hours. No, I guess they don't tell you how much money. But anyway, all of those things are right there at your fingertips. And let me tell you, it was really useful because at work, we had a machine that we built up with the Threadripper 1950, and we put in two RTX 3090s. And when we, of course, did that calculator, we should be able to handle the load on that thing with a 1200 watt power supply, you would think. Because other than just two cards and a Threadripper, when you add up all those TDPs and power, it should be about 900 watts at max. Well, it turns out this damn thing was pulling up to 1200 watts, and it was actually kicking the power supply and cutting it all off, and we actually had to physically reset it. And we had to order a 1600 watt power supply. So having one of these damn things handy is really handy. This is why I need an editor for all of my talks.
We're leaving that in.
Yeah.
All right. I agree.
Vcache handy.
They're great. I have one, but it's old and doesn't have anywhere near these features.
Yeah.
And it was only like $20.
Mine too. It was like $25, yeah.
All right. Jeremy, you're up.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
no.
back. Oh yeah.
This is so
I
not
can't believe
PC.
this just came out. I think that we've mentioned this over a couple of podcasts. That why is Humble Bundle never done a Leisure Suit Larry bundle? Well, congratulations, it's happened. All of them. Unassumedly, you can play them on your PC now. They start newest and go oldest, but they are all there. It's horrific. It should die, but no, never. Larry dies a lot during the games, but yeah, you can
Wow.
you can do this again. And,
I first played Leisure Suit Larry in 1988, 89.
something, yeah.
EV.
It took me forever to get out of that.
EGA graphics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Took me a long time.
Took you
get
a
out
while
of that
to get
warehouse.
past the place of actually, melting after you visit the prostitute.
Yes, yes, it did. That's still a formative
You
memory
got so
in my
many
young mind.
diseases at once, you just melted when you walked out the door. Yeah.
Yeah, or looked in the window, or looked in the mirror. Yes. So yeah, that's now a thing, and I'm sharing it with you, just like you would have any real disease.
Oh,
Oh,
Thank
man.
you.
I mean, it's Leisure
think
Suit Larry.
actually-
Come on.
I think I played this on an Amiga way back when.
Oh, it came out on everything. It came out on Tandy, Amiga.
Yes.
I don't think it came out on Commie. I don't think there was a C64
No,
version.
it came out everywhere. It just came all over all the
Oh,
different
There's a spirit.
Oh,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Sebastian.
Yep.
Yep. Now he's
All right.
got to edit himself.
Brett. No, Brett, you're up.
Yeah. Okay. So I was shopping for a good deal today, and I happened to come across this. It's a legitimately, if you think about it, it's a reasonable deal. 28-inch IPS FreeSync 4K name brand Acer monitor, $299. What's the catch? The catch is that it maxes out at 60 hertz. I mean, it even has FreeSync, but it maxes out at 60 hertz. The only other catch here is that I think if you click the specs tab in the middle of the page there, I also think it maxes out at a brightness of 300 nits. So there's a couple of downsides.
What's to like?
Well, because it's a 4K resolution, which would be great for people who need a high resolution display, but they're probably not gaming on it. So it is a very reasonably priced FreeSync IPS monitor. So people who are maybe editing photos, something like that, it would probably be a good display for that kind of thing. But maybe in a darkened room. It's not a bad price for a 4K monitor, just maybe not for gaming.
I worry about the 28-inch size because that was the first generation of 4K monitors.
That's correct. Yeah, it's an early
But
display.
the 90% DCI-P3 suggests to me that maybe this is not like them just reusing an old panel.
Oh, wait, it's IPS. Didn't that come along a little bit later?
I mean, in 4K land?
Yeah.
the
Wasn't that
first
a little bit later?
yeah, the first were either TN or
VAs?
VA. I know Samsung
Yeah,
had
so
some
the
VAs.
IPS ones came along a little bit later, so maybe this is a
Maybe it's
reasonable
second gen.
generation to think about. Yeah. Anyway, 4K display, $299, name brand, FreeSync. Not that that's really going to matter a heck of a lot. IPS panel,
I just wonder what the
28-inch.
low is. What's the low if the high is 60? Is it 48 to 60?
Yeah, well, you wonder. Yeah, I don't know. Why did they put a FreeSync, controller in this? I don't
Because
know.
they could. They looked at it and said, well, it's an open standard. We can just put that on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
box
whatever.
because technically it'll do like 50 and 60 hertz.
Anyway, this the vendor's Woot, also known as Amazon, behind the scenes.
Also known as Jeff Bezos Inc.
Well, Jeff doesn't actually, work for the show anymore.
Oh.
But so I don't know how long this will be around. So hopefully,
Forever.
if you want this sort of thing, take advantage of it.
How
soon.
long will 28-inch 4K panels be around? Until the end of time.
This particular one at a $299 price, I guess.
Okay. All right. I don't have a pick this week. I looked through my Amazon history and I'm like, no, that's dumb. I'm not going to pick that. And I lost interest. And then it was
You're a
time
loser.
to do the show. So I am a loser. That's beyond question at this point. But thank you for watching.
That's another
or
square, right?
listening.
When Sebastian doesn't have a square or a pick.
I mean, I could take myself out of the show, I guess. If I don't deserve to even be on here if I don't have a pick.
I think the board might need to be redone. There's a lot of Jim on that one that was just shared in the Discord.
Oh,
And here's to Jim.
what board are you talking about? The bingo board?
The bingo board,
bingo board.
was just shared.
The bingo, bango,
Okay.
bongo
There's probably
board.
still old like Ryan and Alan stuff on there too. Canon.
Nope,
It was
not on that one.
it
that
a
one was
remake.
edited. Okay. Let's end the show officially. This has been the PC Pro Podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll return and do it again next week. Just for you.
It's fair warning. Fair warning. Good night.
Okay, now we're in the after show. I'm going to hit the end recording button.
End record.
And
Okay. The recording is over. We're still streaming. I'm going to
end of line.
move this giant video file. How big is it? Oh, 7.6 gigabytes this week. Not too bad.
Ooh.
It was 10.34 last week.
And I will not be the impediment this time.
And I think
getting
I'm even
this
recording
done.
at the higher bit rate again. We're doing like 20 megabit per second 1080p recording with 512 kilobyte per second audio, I believe.
Yeah.
Something,
We're
just
sorry.
whatever the max like audio setting is in vMix.
We apologize for anyone that watches this in high def. It's
Oh,
that's
don't
what
do
we
that.
actually look
That's-
like.
I mean, if you stream, you're only getting 5 megabit quality, but the local recording is 4 times that typically.
So you have to subject yourself to this in high
Yeah,
resolution.
when I edit it
I'm
on
sorry.
a 4K display, I see everything. I see the compression. Actually, there's quite a bit of compression even at 20 megabit.
I know
Well,
I can
that's
get a
good. That's why you're not
28-inch
blind
IPS
or
4K
turned to
display
stone.
For,
It does some smoothing,
funny.
like the averaging that it does helps smooth out some of the skin
that's
blemishes
probably
and
good.
things like that.
I need smoothing.
Well, I use a beauty filter plug-in just for Josh's corner.
that's just for
Yes.
Josh's quadrant. Josh, I noticed the dogs have stopped yapping.
I have no idea why.
Oh, it's that good quiet or the scary quiet?
I think it's good right now.
There's believe it or not, there's a request in the YouTube chat for the HD DVD copy of the show. I'm going to say that's
Sorry,
never
only
gonna be
Laserdisc.
available.
Only Laserdisc.
Hey, I still have
We're
one of
only-
those LG,
You still got the
dual
burner,
player.
don't you?
Yeah.
You have an HD DVD
Only-
burner?
We're
Nice.
only cutting Laserdisc HD.
No. I just have the dual Blu-ray and HD
okay.
DVD format disc reader drive.
I was gonna say, of all the useless
Can't
crap
burn 'em.
I own, and I have stacks, literally stacks of optical drives, I do not own anything that will play HD DVDs that I know of.
Wow. I have up the old Xbox 360 HD DVD player that I actually had done and connected to my PC to play HD DVDs,
Yeah.
as well as on the Xbox 360. So,
And then
Isn't that
Blu-ray
USB
came out.
2.0?
yeah.
Yeah, it would have been.
I remember one of those sitting in the bottom of my Xbox game case when I sold video games. I just sat there and sat there, along with the Final Fantasy 11 version of the PS2 that had the modem and the hard drive. That sat there forever.
Retail is hell.
It is. It will consume your soul.
Well, if you started with one.
I felt like I had one. I was in retail for 16 years, so that's why I am. the
Well,
way
if you
I am.
had one, don't worry. It's long gone now.
Yeah, because for the last 10 I was in management, which is when you really become a piece of shit.
Well, that's the lobotomy.
Everyone hates
You've
you.
lost a soul, then you go for the lobotomy, and yeah.
People start slashing your tires
Right.
in the parking lot. And
How many Karens did you have to deal with on a daily basis?
just my boss, because that was her name.
oh,
For real.
okay,
Oh, that
wasn't
would
what I
work
meant,
so
but-
well nowadays, though.
sure.
A Karen walks in, demands to see the manager, and you're like, "Okay, Karen, can you come over here?" Karen wants to
boy.
talk to you.
It's Karenception.
Yes.
It is. Yeah.
Hey, not everybody named Karen is a Karen.
Someone has collected more than they need of CD and DVD players.
Yes.
What happened
He
to
took
Jim
a boatload of
Tanos?
ancient machines to the recycler. You know what, Lawn Dog? I'm terrified and horrified to think about some of the delightful old technology you might have just taken to be shredded. and destroyed.
I think Jim.
Yeah.
The answer to the question on what happened to Jim. Jim has been out of circulation here for close to. I'm trying to think. 10 months, maybe more.
No, it's been longer than that.
It's been a
August
year?
of 2020,
So it was slightly more than a year ago.
more than a year ago.
Year and a couple months.
Time
Is that
flies.
because Intel's got them locked
Does.
in a box somewhere?
No,
You
can
Or-
come-
Or
Actually, the box-
Ryan has
the
him
box-
locked in the church somewhere.
The box is very familiar to him.
as you know, everyone who leaves PC Per eventually ends up at Intel. There's no secret to that, but there are holdouts.
Well, there is a secret. How do we do it?
Well,
They offered me a cleaning job.
Cleaning.
but could you do it remotely, or would you have to move?
No, I'd have to move.
No.
No.
See, not
It's a
everybody
significant pay
wants
cut.
to live in Kentucky. Apparently,
know.
some people just can't
That's
understand
That's
that.
shocking.
Kind of the thing.
Some people have spouses who refuse to move.
Did you have anything exciting happen in your neighborhood recently, Sebastian?
Not in my neighborhood, no. I
Oh,
mean,
I
the
thought
last
there was
exciting
some-
thing that happened on my street was 2 doors down when a pickup truck drove into the front of a house at high
And
speed
someone one-upped you.
early in the morning. And then the police locally, there was a standoff yesterday. And apparently the police got mad because the person in the house shot out the windshield of the SWAT vehicle. First of all,
no.
why is the windshield of a SWAT vehicle so easy to break? Isn't this supposed to be bulletproof glass? But apparently they got mad and they destroyed the entire house. I'm telling
Like they do.
they literally
They like drove over
rammed
it, or
it from both
something?
sides and
Yeah.
destroyed it.
Like they pulled a full-out Waco?
So I was looking at pictures in the news, like, hold on, what is happening with this? And like the house, like, was leaning in on itself in the middle, and there was debris everywhere, and you could see a construction, like a local contractor's truck, and they apparently deemed it unsalvageable because the next picture shows what's left of it being crushed by a giant excavator, and then the ground was just flat, like the house is gone. There's a quote from the landlord who, like, the person who was in the house, it wasn't even his house. Like, it belonged to a woman, or she was renting it. She escaped. So he's holed up inside the house. The police ended up destroying it. It's gone. Well, the property owner says, what the heck? I thought the police were just going to break the front door down. No,
Well, they
They
did.
that.
Technically,
they
they
did.
did break the fur down.
Yeah. And then some.
Yeah. I think
Wow. Yeah. You're still not allowed up in Canada. You guys are all weird.
it's not as exciting as when a year and a half ago, right, kind of at the beginning of COVID, we're all like, under lockdown at the time. And then the SWAT team showed up on our street, and they were somebody with a bullhorn repeating over and over again that the house was surrounded, blah, blah, blah. And there were people with assault rifles in my front yard, set up all over the place, and police cars all the way down the street. And finally, they ended up getting the guy, pulling him out of a second floor window. He was completely naked. Just yanking this naked dude out of a second floor window and depositing him down and taking him off.
Yanking him. How? Was
Okay,
what sort of the
initially
cause
he
here?
had put his hands out the window and was, I guess, to prove that he was not armed, he took off all of his clothes. So then here he is hanging halfway out the window, and the next thing I know, there's people up on some kind of a lift or something, or standing on top of the SWAT truck. I don't remember exactly. My wife just texted. Apparently she can hear me or is watching. She said he had socks on, so no, he was not totally naked. Like, okay. But they pulled him out of the window the rest of the way. I'm like,
Actually.
the guy is naked. All right, son, don't look. But
You do live in an exciting
it's
neighborhood.
it's the kind of excitement
apparently.
I could do without, because my neighbor had the truck drive into the front of his house. I had half a tree fall on my house and destroy my car. So
How's the new car treating you guys?
that's great. It's the greatest car of the 2 cars that were available to buy on the lot. It's a stylish 2021 Mazda CX-30, the tiny crossover that you never thought you needed. It's based on a Mazda 3, but it's slightly taller than a Mazda 3. And they raised the ground clearance to 8.5 inches.
Ooh.
So it's a
so you
slightly tippier Mazda 3.
You can forge slightly taller streams or deeper streams with it. Then.
It has
You
an
could
off-road
jump
mode.
over larger stumps.
It has an off-road mode, I'll have you know. You should watch the Doug DeMuro review of this car as he giggles at the fact that it has an off-road mode. He's like, ooh, so you can take your little subcompact crossover, into the wild with your 5 inches of ground clearance. So, but it's nice.
You can't even really clear a really tall curb with it.
No, I would not want to drive up a curb on it.
Yeah.
But I will say the safety features are so extensive. You just can't. I can't crash this car. You
won't allow
can't.
you.
Why not?
You can't
I'm
leave
pretty
your
sure
lane.
You can.
You can't okay. If I want to make a lane change without a signal, that's out the window now. Because as soon
you
as you
just can't.
start to make the lane change, it reads that there's a line there, and it takes the wheel and turns it back and forces you back in your lane. Like it will wrench it out of your hands. It's like using one of those Logitech force feedback joysticks from back in the day.
Boy,
It
that's
yanks
not troublesome.
the
at
wheel.
all.
No, that's not a
So
problem.
I have
at
to
all.
remember, oh crap, there's a cyclist on the right. I need to put on my left signal or else it's going to force me back towards the cyclist.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
Unintended
Could you
consequences.
use a more
of
important
AI.
example of someone you shouldn't run over?
hey.
Sorry, I'm from Vancouver. Like we're literally giving up lanes on bridges for cyclists now.
I was nice. Well, I used to ride a bike to and from work. So it was about a 14
And I haven't been hit
round
by a
trip.
bicyclist in about 2 months now, which is actually shocking.
I would make the mistake sometimes of being in on the shoulder of the road, and people would be screaming at me, "Get him on the sidewalk, you!" Okay. So I get on the side. I used to ride my road bike on the sidewalk to work because I didn't want to die. And people do die around here, famously. A whole bunch of people have died on bikes. Yes, I was looking for a picture of that house that was destroyed, but I'm not finding it quickly.
Very sad.
Yes. Anything else? Anybody?
I got done.
Okay.
No.
And yes,
I don't think
YouTube
I'm
is
all set.
right. Dustin, you can turn off lane guidance. There's all sorts of stuff you can turn off on this car. I just haven't bothered.
One of the problems with cars
Check
that
it
do
to
this
Brett.
sort of
He can
thing
turn everything off.
is no, that's actually part of the problem. Part of the problem is they make you turn it off practically every time you start the car.
Yeah.
How annoying is that?
It has a heads-up display, so it projects onto this reflective surface on the inside of the windshield.
Yes.
And so it's constantly telling you what your speed is, what the speed limit is, with whatever the last sign is that it read. And
It's
telling
reading
you-
the signs.
Yep. It'll tell, stop comes up on it when there's a stop sign, all that stuff. And if you turn it off, it's on the next time you start the car. It's like, okay,
Right.
here we go again.
There may or may not be
Sounds
what's
like
called
you need
long
a
code
soldering iron.
programming.
2025, we're gonna get the DUI alcohol sensors. So have fun.
There is
In
that
everything?
talk of that. There is talk of that, yeah.
At some point, can we just go to public transportation? How about if one designated person drives and we have a bus on every corner every 10 minutes? It would work. You have that in Chicago. You don't have it in the Midwest where everybody has 2 cars.
I think a lot of people still want to drive.
I think so, but
their own
that I
vehicle.
personally I would rather
Now,
just take
Sebastian,
public transportation.
they have 4 cars. It's just 2 of them are on cinder blocks in the yard.
I know I feel like around where I live, there's at least 2 cars to every person, because every yard there's 2 to 4 cars in the driveway and off the driveway. Not to mention the broken down trailer and the questionable camper thing, with grass growing all around it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to my new safer car
What'd you
as
get?
opposed to my. I ordered a Volkswagen Golf R, but it won't be here till
2025?
2022 first quarter.
Will it
like
be
that.
the 2022 model by then?
I think so. They were
You
supposed
ordered
to
a
come out-
2021.
Yeah, I ordered.
You're not
going to
get it until mid 2022.
in first quarter of 2022. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So automotive manufacturers have gone from releasing the 2 years in advance model in December to something resembling the NVIDIA quarterly financial reports.
I'm not sure that they knew that at the time, but
Hey, look, Volkswagen's very good at creative math, like for their emissions, for example.
that's true too.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll have some.
I hear they're going to be installing turn signals sometime too.
They do have those. They have turn signals.
Well, show me a BMW owner that knows where to find them.
That's different. Those guys are trained not to be able to use their signals. I don't know what school they went to, but yeah.
Is your
special
Golf
school.
R going to be a petrol or diesel?
It is. It's. I decided to order the manual transmission because it'll be
course
the
you did.
last one ever.
Of course you did.
Yeah, why not?
Because if
Well,
you're the
speaking
kind
of
of guy who's
insanity-
buying a Golf, you're getting a stick.
You can get the DSG is actually
It'll cost
quicker
you extra.
and more powerful. The stick actually costs slightly less, surprisingly.
Oh, weird.
It's always less. What are you talking about? Automatics have always
yeah.
cost more.
Up here, they charge more for the standard
Weird.
because
guys in
everyone's
Canada-
automatic. Like they literally
in
have
Canada
no
can-
idea what a standard is, which
are
is
getting this car
ridiculous
first.
because up here we need a standard. If you're going uphill on ice, yeah, a standard is a good frickin' thing as opposed to a chip saying, "Yeah, let's just jump into third gear all of a sudden because I'm
It's
losing
more fuel
traction."
efficient to be in third gear up this hill.
Yes, and then I'm going backwards and not making any. So, is diesel more expensive down there yet? The
I don't
gas?
know. I haven't been keeping track of the numbers.
The last time
Yes,
I
it's
looked,
a-
it was about
it's a Mark 8
$4
Golf
a
R, yes.
gallon, and we're paying $3.50-ish for unleaded regular right now.
Okay. No, in Canada, like one, you don't want to know our gas prices, but what I've noticed is that diesel has suddenly become about 20% more expensive, which makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I'm looking at gasbuddy.com.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, guys.
Okay.
I gotta
Good night.
utilize things
Yeah.
and talk to wives and get dogs to bed. Fun things like that.
All right. Night,
All
Josh.
right. Have a good
night.
night.
See you
Looks
later.
like-
Night.
Diesel's about 15 to 20 cents more expensive than unleaded regular around here.
Well, someone's telling me that it was actually always more expensive in the U.S.
I thought it was less at one point. But I mean, you get better fuel efficiency in a diesel car, so it more than
Well, of course.
balances out. But
I mean, hell, honestly, the big diesel engines were more efficient to run overnight than turn off.
yes,
They kept themselves at just a perfect temperature, so you didn't have to plug in the block heater because the electricity was a little bit more. Oh yeah, block heaters. So that's a thing.
Yeah, very Canadian of you. Or northern New York, I guess. Illinois, Michigan.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Josh knows what a block heater is.
Oh, that's probably true too.
Elevation counts too.
Yep.
what confuses me is that allegedly the reason that engines like the one that I have in this Mazda thing that we bought are quite efficient is because they're using sort of similar technology to a diesel because they're not always using the spark ignition in the cylinder. They're using compression.
Huh.
Yes.
They only use spark like either alternatively or only need when they need to.
Or for starting the engine.
Yeah. This is odd.
No, otherwise it's compression just keeps it going.
Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's part of the SkyTech or SkyActiv G, whatever the hell it's called. Also, there are automatic transmissions, which of course are real transmissions. I did not want another CVT, which is why I bought a Mazda to begin with. Has a real clutch in it somehow. It's a 6-speed automatic with a clutch.
Yeah, that's okay. That happens.
And it has a
You can do that.
manual mode, it has paddle shifters, but
Yeah, paddle shifters. Yeah.
it's not like the fake gear shocks that I had with my CVT, which also
The-
had paddle
the
shifters, which was hilarious.
DSG version of the latest Volkswagen transmission has 7 speeds with a clutch and paddle shifters and all that.
No, it's not a rotary engine. They
It's not. No.
The rotary
Is that a
engines,
Wankel?
I don't think they make them anymore.
They
MX
might still,
7
but I don't
or
think so.
8, whatever they had, like their last one. They're all on just naturally aspirated
Jordan, what are you
4
doing?
cylinders now.
Why are you doing that?
6-cylinder. Okay. I think it's time.
It's frozen.
Yep.
You're frozen?
No, no, Josh was frozen.
Oh yeah,
and,
Josh isn't
Jordan
here anymore.
Yeah.
captured the
Bingo.
moment.
Ah.
Stop
All
it.
right. Yeah, RX-8s.
You guys are assholes.
Hey.
I was.
How many of you here are
That's a quote.
assholes?
It is an actual quote
It,
from Josh.
it is. I wasn't making that up.
At least he hasn't called me that on the show in a while. All right. Stopping the stream. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.